One of the biggest struggles for entrepreneurs trying to achieve success is time. There's not enough of it. You're stuck in the weeds doing too much. You definitely don't have time to be chasing down office supplies or tech gear from 5 different stores. That's why there's Walmart Business. With one free account at business.walmart.com, you get access to a huge selection of business essentials, from cleaning supplies and office tech to workwear and even fresh food, all at Walmart's everyday low prices. You can set up multi-user accounts for your team, automate your orders with subscriptions, and even track spending with built-in tools. Your stuff can be delivered, or you could pick it up at your local Walmart. Want to make things even easier? Well, with Walmart Business Plus, you get free shipping with no minimum, rewards on large orders, and powerful spend analytics to help you make smarter decisions. Walmart Business is built for entrepreneurs, saving you time, money, and hassle so you can get back to what matters, growing your business. Sign up today at business.walmart.com. Terms apply.
America leads the world in medicine development. It matters. We get new medicines first, nearly 3 years faster. 5 million Americans go to work because we make medicines here at home. And not relying on other countries keeps us safe. But China is racing to overtake us. Will we let them, or will we choose to stay ahead? When America leads, America cures. Let's tell Washington to keep us in the lead.
Learn how at americacures.com. Paid for by pharma.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another snack-size edition of our show, How Success Happens. I'm your slightly stuffed-up host, Dan Bova, writer and editor at entrepreneur.com. Now, before we get into the weeds or strands of hair with today's guest, that'll make sense in a minute, I wanted to talk feedback because we're getting some great feedback from all of y'all. I love seeing the messages and the comments on all the platforms you can find our show, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and also some people have taken the time to email me directly at howsuccesshappens@entrepreneur.com. No matter which way you do it, I love it. So I wanted to share this comment we got from listener Dave Buttons. That's Buttons with a Z, who left a comment about my recent chat with Seth Berkowitz, the founder and CEO of Insomnia Cookies. Dave Buttons writes, "Loved it. It actually motivated me to go with my project. Was having a similar idea in my town, but was kind of getting numb. Now this helped me light it up again. Keep up with the interviews. Smiley face emoticon." Good stuff, Dave Buttons. If your project is anything like Insomnia Cookies, please email me and I'll send you my shipping address. And, I'm here for you if you need any beta cookie tasters. We also heard from someone who was not quite so pleased with regard to my chat with Bill Gurley, the legendary VC investor who came on to talk about his new book, Running Down a Dream. Bill implored listeners to avoid career regret, and he mentioned some advice that he had heard from Jeff Bezos about questions you can ask yourself to make sure you're on the right career path. And listener Mark Seymour was not having it. Mark wrote, "What I would not do is reference Jeff Bezos as a paragon of success. Just ask the 300 Washington Post staffers he summarily dismissed. Remember, he took the Post with the promises of a great future for the paper, but instead he held a match to the paper. So what I would do is research the history of someone before holding them up as a shining example. Mr. Bezos cannot show anyone how to succeed except where he himself is concerned." So that's from listener Mark Seymour. And, I think we have a situation where all parties in this conversation are kind of correct. I mean, I think it's totally valid to use a method that Jeff Bezos formulated to ask yourself questions to make sure your career is going where you want it to go. And I think it's also totally valid to say, hey, Jeff, You're the second richest person on planet Earth. Maybe you can take better care of your people and this brand that's been around since 1877. So however you look at that, I think is up to you. But I want to thank Mark and I want to thank Dave Buttons for the notes and to thank all of you who have been writing in. Keep them coming. Okay, so on to today's guest. David Thurston is a founder who has built two massively successful hair color brands. The first, Pulp Riot, was sold in a $100 million acquisition, and the second, Danger Jones, went straight into 1,400 plus stores with a national distribution deal. Now, we're not going to talk about hair care because if you watch our show, you know that I have white hair and it is making a hasty retreat from the top of my head. But what we are going to talk about is how David did all of those things. And he credits a lot of his success to brand building, specifically personal brand building, meaning he put his own face and voice at the center of everything he was doing with his brands. And, well, as those numbers I just mentioned before, it kind of paid off. David joined me for a live conversation with Entrepreneur Plus subscribers. You can be one of them. Just sign up. Just go to entrepreneur.com. They're great chats. You get to ask questions live. David had such great advice that I wanted to share it here. So in this first clip, he talks about a fear that probably a lot of people have about building a brand where their face and their voice is front and center. And specifically, that concern is, who the hell cares what I have to say?
Yeah, you're holding back your company if you're not putting your face out there, and more importantly, your beliefs and values. I struggled with the same thing. In fact, my career really took off when I started to give my brand a voice, a soul, a purpose. And it started when I was running a hair salon. And we were growing our Instagram page. And one day I thought, I'm going to post something about our industry, something that everybody's thinking, but nobody's talking about. So I posted a picture of myself in a black t-shirt. I wrote a long caption about something about the industry. I hit post and the fear kicked in, the imposter syndrome kicked in. And I literally walked to my bedroom, laid face down on my bed, head in my hands, and moaned for 7 minutes straight. That's how uncomfortable it was for me. After that, I said, that's it. I'm not doing this. I'm getting back up. I'm deleting that post. I'm mortified. Hopefully not too many people see it. But then a wild thing happened, Dan. I opened it up and hundreds of comments. People loved it. They loved that I put myself out there, that I was vulnerable, and I was saying something kind of disruptive, something that might not have been said before. And that moment is when my career changed. And as you said in the opener, I, at age 40, was running a hair salon for $24,000 a year. And by the time I hit 50, I'd already exited a company for close to 100 million as a hair color company. So to the people listening, I absolutely know what it's like to be stoked about being an entrepreneur and running your own thing and going to a dinner party. When people ask you, what do? You say, I'm an entrepreneur. And they say, what do you do? And I run this company. And then being really fearful of that follow-up question about how great is your company doing? And you're like, I wish they didn't ask that. Yeah. So hopefully I unlock some things today that help so that when you go to that dinner party and they talk about how your company's doing, you're able to, with pride, say, I'm doing this. So that's what we're here for today.
You know what I do when someone asks me that question at a dinner party? I say, in the time it took you to ask that question, I made $100 million. And don't explain how. And what are they going to do? Look at your bank records? And then just walk away. They'll think you're this like totally eccentric millionaire. Anyway, let's keep moving. So why? Why does having a strong personal brand mean so much to success? Well, as David is about to explain, when you have a strong personal brand, and then if you sell a company or maybe you move on to another opportunity, you don't have to start from scratch building a new community.
Yeah, I talked about owning the hair salon and putting my face out there to give the brand a voice and a soul, and then connecting myself with other influencers who have their own personal brands to find a broader market. Well, when I was able to create the product line called Pulp Riot, well, I didn't start from zero. People already knew who they were buying from and what they stood for. A person who believes that people are more important than profits. A person believes that building a community should be the reason why we exist. Somebody who believes that products are better when they're made inside of a hair salon, and somebody who says women, because they dominate the beauty industry, should be front and center on stage. Those are some of my beliefs. And people already knew that. So we didn't start from zero. So when we created Pulp Riot, we created it with this thing, an Instagram post, and we have product now available. In 23 months after we actually did that post saying we now have products available, we sold the brand to L'Oreal for almost $100 million because of the personal brand. Well, after that, I took some time off and came back to create another brand in the beauty industry. And here's what's important. I didn't start from zero. In fact, I started from 100 because the community that I built with Pulp Riot, so many of them followed me to my next brand called Danger Jones. They didn't follow a logo. They didn't follow the name of a brand. They follow people they believe in, because belief is the most important currency. Your employees should have belief in what you're doing. They should be missionaries. Your customers should believe what you're doing so much that they become amplifiers.
So I loved everything that David had to say about the power of a strong personal brand. And he also just gave so much great advice about entrepreneurship in general. And in this last clip, he talks specifically about what you have to do if you have a product or a service that lives in an industry that has a lot of very big, very successful players already in place. How do you go up against the big dogs?
It's the most important thing. I'm guessing that most of the people on this meeting are entrepreneurs that are trying to defeat or compete with a Goliath in your industry. And you could only do that in three ways, in my experience. One is you can move a lot faster than they can. Number two is you can know your customer better than they do. But number three is that you have the power to build a community. And with the community, you can amplify your message faster and further than the Goliath ever can. So you cannot build a community unless you have a leader. And you cannot be a leader unless people understand what you believe and what your values are, because that's what they're linking themselves to. They're not following a logo. They're not following you because you're creating a really great product. They're going to follow you and buy from you because your beliefs and values align with theirs. And more importantly, that has to happen for them to bother to amplify your message to their following. They have to feel passionate about what you believe in. So how do you start with a personal brand? You start focusing on, what do you believe in? What markets you want to leave on the world? What values do you want to share with others? What is your why? Start there, and you're going to find a lot of people. You're going to find your group of people that share that belief, and they will amplify your message.
That's it. That's the show. Go out there, amplify your voice, build a company, take a nap. You do you. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for subscribing, liking, commenting. Yes, as I said, we love the comments, and you can write to me always directly at howsuccesshappens@entrepreneur.com. If you're loving the sweet, sweet sounds of our sweet, sweet theme song, check out more music from Nika RPM on Bandcamp. All right, see you next time. Talk to me, people. Write in those comments.
Rinse knows that greatness takes time, but so does laundry. So Rinse will take your laundry and hand deliver it to your door expertly cleaned. And you can take the time pursuing your passions. Time once spent sorting and waiting, folding and queuing, now spent challenging and innovating and pushing your way to greatness. So pick up the Irish flute or those calligraphy pens or that daunting beef Wellington recipe card and leave the laundry to us. Rinse. It's time to be great.